says something very similar, like America won't survive because of anti-Semitism. More of this narrative of America is going to be destroyed because of the rise of anti-Semitism, just like 1930s Germany. That's the meme.
In the last 6 months, I have seen more anti-Semitism on the right than at any time in my lifetime. It is rising on the right, and it is dangerous. And if we look away, if we refuse to denounce it, if we are scared of it, it could destroy the Republican Party just like it has destroyed the Democrat Party. I think we have an obligation to stand up, to speak out. Many elected Republicans are terrified to say anything. And I think this is a moment where everyone decides, where do you stand? Are you willing to stand up?
Yeah, are you telling me that the problem is not enough Republican politicians are standing with Israel and speaking up about anti-Semitism? Like that, there hasn't been a ton of that. This is all the problems in the country, and this is what he's up here ranting about. Not enough pro-Israel Republican politicians. Are you kidding me? We need them to disavow, like government shutdown, just all the problems going on in America, and this is what we're focused on. Isn't that interesting? Doesn't that speak volumes?
Up and speak the truth and anything. And I think this is a moment where everyone decides, where do you stand? Are you willing to stand up and speak the truth? And it is going to matter in the coming years whether our party and even more fundamentally our country survives.
See, well, our country's survival is at stake if we don't have every single Republican congressman, 9 out of 10 isn't it? Here's first, though, Jonathan Greenblatt tells Orthodox Jewish podcast that they should be nervous. Let's hear. We got a few from Greenblatt. That's why he's in the thumbnail today.
American jobs. Let's
hear the latest from the head of the ADL.
That quote unquote aid that goes from the United States to Israel, particularly the military aid, gets spent on, guess what? Goes from the United States to Israel to get spent back in America, buying American munitions from American companies, creating American jobs. That being said, our relationship is not just a transactional one. Somebody who said that Israel was like an aircraft carrier that can't be sunk, like a section of our military interests. Again, there could be a transactional reason, there could be a military strategic reason, but ultimately I believe it's a values-based reason. We are both democracies. We both believe in the sanctity of individuals. We both believe in this view that we have, again, like a greater mission. And so there are aspects of
greater mission. We got your Jewish mission. Is that what you mean? Your God, your Hashem mission? Political
economy, that different than America's political economy. But I think there is a shared fundamental basis that makes us stronger together, that supersedes a particular aid bill or supersedes a military rationale. You need that values basis to remain tight.
But what scares me, Jonathan, is the fact that Tucker Carlson, obviously he's problematic, but the person he was platforming was Nick Fuentes, who's young. And the person who was asking that question to J.D. Vance was a student at the University of Mississippi. And the people about whom Liz McGill was talking are these students. In other words, it seems to me, if I had to make an amateur line about who in the United States is more pro-Israel and who is less pro-Israel, or more specifically, who's more anti-Semitic and who's less anti-Semitic, the older generation, I would think, is more pro-Israel and less anti-Semitic. And the younger generation is where the problems are really arising, which makes me very nervous about what's going to happen in 10, 20, and 30 years when that younger generation takes over the two parties.
It's very scary. Dude, this guy's such a stereotype.
Stereotyping Jews is terrible.
It reminds me of that scene so much.
Where the problems are really arising, which
really
makes me very nervous about what's going to happen in 10, 20, and 30 years when that
I'm very nervous.
Younger generation takes over the two parties.
You should be nervous.
True.
You should
be nervous. They're scared about losing America. They're losing the Christian Zionist boomers and the left a lot, and then now the right. They're nervous and they're dangerous. When their back's up against the walls, when they get dangerous. When the fullness of the Gentiles is in and the golden age of Edom in America is at its peak and the rise of anti-Semitism hits its peak, that's when they're really dangerous. And it's all prophetic. Edom has to fall. Edom and Esau hates Jacob. It's all there. It could happen here. His book about another Holocaust in America, it could happen here.
About what's going to happen in 10, 20, and 30 years when that younger generation takes over the two parties.
You should be nervous. You should be nervous. That is why we need to fight with everything we've got. And so I do think, by the way, the best person to fight back on the woke right, so to speak, is Ben Shapiro and his congressman.
Oh man, Jews might be cooked. Ben Shapiro, our greatest soldier, our Moshiach, the anointed one, Ben Shapiro. He will stop the alt-right. He will stop the Groypers. Ben, our secret weapon, the very best Mossad has to offer. Ben Shapiro.
Andy Fine from Florida, and is Senator David Cormick from Pennsylvania, and is Senator Cruz from Texas. People on the right need to lead the fight against anti-Semitism on the right. And the best people to fight against Zoran Mamdani, or the kind of radical left, are people like Congressman Goldman, Dan Goldman, who's from New
Moshiach Ben Shapiro, the anointed one.
York City, or Congressman Richie Torres, also from New York City, or Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, or individuals who self-identify as being of the left.
You should be scared. We've got Ben Shapiro on our front lines. Sounded like Greenblatt was calling Shapiro an ADL asset. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is. Here's another one from Greenblatt about Fuentes and Tucker.
Jonathan, I'd like to also have you evaluate the conversation that has been going on for more than a week in Republican circles about Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and the platforming thereof.
Yeah, look, I'm glad you asked. It reminds us that neither side of the spectrum is intolerant from, or immune, from anti-Semitism. Intolerance happens on both sides, and specifically here, look, it's not
immune. They're already injecting the disease metaphors, immunity to this disease, this virus that we must eradicate, that we have the antidote for here at the ADL. We've got the cure to the anti-Semitism mind virus.
Intolerance happens on both sides, and specifically here, look, it's not just that the interview with Nick Fuentes that Tucker Carlson did was so repellent, although it was.
Fetterman, the golem, that's so funny.
Hate for years, specifically anti-Jewish bias, Holocaust deniers, ugly anti-Zionists, and all kinds of people. That's the problem here. Now, I will tell you, I was pleased that Kevin Roberts called out Nick Fuentes' disgusting anti-Jewish hatred. But why would you run cover for Tucker Carlson? The Republican Party has got to figure this out. People like Ted Cruz, Dave McCormick, Lindsey Graham seem intent on doing so, and that's a good thing. I hope things work out the right way, just like on the far left. The anti-Zionism and the anti-Semitism of some fringe folks in the progressive side also need to be worked out. Let's hope that that happens on both ends of the spectrum, Major, so a strong center can reemerge where everyone is accepted.
Jonathan, very quickly, Kevin Roberts, you mentioned a significant figure at the Heritage Foundation Action and Heritage Foundation. Would you like to see in this moment President Trump weigh in on Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes?
I think it would be a positive development if the president,
Oh, are we going to see a big disavow, Donald Trump? J.D. Vance, we're going to play the clip in a minute, has already disavowed Nick, although he also did tweet about him to be allowed back on Twitter at one point also. But Trump had dinner with Fuentes. That's what they're all talking about. They're going to have Trump come out with a big disavow of Tucker and Fuentes. That's going to be big. That'll be funny. I wonder what Trump is going to say in all caps. Yeah. Or a Pope disavow. Imagine what's next. The Pope is going to get asked a question about Fuentes being a Catholic. That'll be a big, funny disavow. And then Donald Trump's disavow on Fuentes. Is that where we're going next? We'll get there in a second.
Action and Heritage Foundation. Would you like to see in this moment President Trump weigh in on Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes?
I think it would be a positive development if the president, who has Jewish grandchildren, has a Jewish daughter and son-in-law, who's done so much to support the Jewish state of Israel and frankly support the Jewish community on college campuses. No one has a stronger voice on these issues than him. If he weighed in, it might be very, very powerful.
Little foreshadowing going on there. Enoch says, I'll bet he does it. I bet he will. You knew that was coming.
Wait, the conversation.
I think we did this one already.
Has Jewish grandchildren.
Yeah, we listened to that one. I got to replay. Okay, now he says, if we are to solve the problem of social media, we need to get upstream and get companies to do the right thing, meaning censor. He's optimistic. Let's hear a little bit of this one. Man, he's just, with the mainstreaming of Nick Fuentes and the I shouldn't say normalizing, but it's like Greenblatt gets to go on all the big shows to talk about Fuentes and the Tucker interview.
I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to ask you, so much anti-Semitism is spread unchecked on social media. And there was a time when social media companies, let's say more,
They're allowing this to happen, dude. I'm
police these
telling
kinds
you.
of things.
They had this shut down when they wanted to for years and banned everybody years ago, and now they're letting it off. They're letting it go free and fester, maybe even botting it or promoting it in the pushing it in their algorithms. I'm telling you, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, it's all Christian conspiracy goyslop. It's all kosher Christian disinformation, satanic, traditional Jewish, like blood libel Christian anti-Semitism. That's the biggest, most viral shit. Biggest influencers all pushing that shit. All for this big narrative. It's being allowed to happen. Come on. Don't believe for a second it's not. They're not able to shut that down if they wanted to.
Things, and
Part of their
believe that they
prophecy
even sought
script.
the ADL's advice on these things sometimes, depending on the company. And then it kind of fell out of fashion.
Hey, Giant Honeypot. Red Ice is here. What's up, Henrik? He says they are doing nothing but boosting Fuentes to heights he never could have done on his own. Really makes you wonder. Fuentes is not a threat to the establishment. He's an asset. Interesting, Henrik. Henrik coming in strong. I mean, whether he knows it or not, it's like asset doesn't mean you're an agent. It just means you're being used for a purpose. So I think that's what he means by asset. He's being utilized as an asset for their agenda. And I think you're onto something there, Henrik.
Put it that way.
Thanks for stopping by,
what
dude.
Efforts do you think the ADL and other organizations can make to try to combat the real, just like cesspool of anti-Semitism online?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, it's sort of embedded in the question. Like, there's no silver bullet.
Yeah.
So social media has sort of seized, if you will, like the public conversation, and it's now mediated through algorithms, invisible to us, but like manifest on our phones. So you and I could be sitting literally like on the same sofa in the same house, looking at our phones, getting two entirely different worldviews. Steven Pinker's got this good new book about common knowledge. I think it's a problem when common knowledge is exploded and when there's no shared understanding of what like ground truth is. For a lot of our young people, ground truth is, Chat GPT, which itself is drawing information to its large language model from like Wikipedia and Al Jazeera. Like that is really troubling. If we are going to solve this problem, we need to get upstream, and we've got to figure out how to get these companies
upstream. We got to get to the top. We got to take it right to the top. We got to be upstream of the wells. If you catch my drift. He's such a mob boss attitude. Upstream. Shut it down at the source. Coerce, strong arm. Blackmail. Run ops on all these social media companies to bend to your will. They've already been working with them for a long time, by the way.
This problem, we need to get upstream, and we've got to figure out how to get these companies to do the right thing. Again, like you said, it's kind of out of fashion these days.
Censor,
to be policing, but look, I don't think it's cancel culture, not the platform Nazis. I don't think it's cancel culture, not the platform jihadists. So we would hope that they will do better in the future.
How about rabbis calling for the prophetic destruction of the West? Should that be banned as well?
And we've got a whole robust sort of advocacy agenda, like pushing and pushing and pushing. And we just got to keep.
How about guys like you that are pushing for mass immigration in all European countries? Should we censor that too? Is that genocide?
It ain't gonna happen overnight. It's not easy, but we can't lose sight of our of these goals.
Are you optimistic about TikTok now that sort of an American conglomerate has bought part of the American operation?
Larry Ellison, Jewish Zionist Larry Ellison.
In my mind, I was not someone who believed that changing the ownership will necessarily affect the performance of the product. Case in point, Facebook, founded and owned by a...
Well, I'll tell you, I've been on TikTok and it's full of Christian anti-Semitism. No joke, full of it. It's the most popular videos. Candace, it blows up there. Ian Carroll blows up there. And all of the low IQ disinfo talking points is what is, I'm going to do a stream soon. I have all these bookmarks saved, and I'm just going to go through all of them that I have bookmarked and do like a TikTok propaganda debunked video. Instagram destroyed. Yeah, Roseanne. Thanks, Kooky Christian. I like that name, Kooky Christian. That's the first I've seen that. Love it.
Jewish man, Mark Zuckerberg, and really helped build by Sheryl Sandberg for Jewish people.
Instagram too.
I think one or both the founders Jewish. Twitter, one of the founders Jewish.
Oh my God.
Like I could go on, but the
Cool it with the anti-Semitism, bro.
Cool it with the anti-Semitism. And X and Insta are so damaging, I think, to the public conversation. So I don't think that...
Dude, Instagram, my algorithm, I'll just flip through it. It'll just be like 100,000 likes, like they're Khazarians. This is why I did the video. 100, scroll again, like 200,000 likes, like Schofield Bible. And another one, like 10,000 likes. Whites are the real chosen people. Like, it really is every single one.
That the nationality of the ownership will necessarily make it better. The only way it gets better is if the ownership is committed to that outcome. And on that point, I'm optimistic. What else can you be?
Insta, he's so hip. No, hip is if you say the gram. You on the gram? Insta is not the hip. Insta's the boomer way of saying it. The gram. That's the hip way to say it. If you would have said gram, then you would have been hip. Then he would have been hard. If he was on Breakfast Club, he would have said the gram. You know, and on the gram, it'd be so anti-Semitic up on that gram. Okay, hold on. What did E. Michael Jones say? No amount of money in the world can restore the Jews' reputation after what they did in Gaza. Or what about the revolutionary spirit killing Jesus? How about that, E. Michael Jones? Ashkenazi fatigue. That's funny. Okay, here's J.D. Vance disavowing Fuentes.
That's what I want to ask about, because in your own movement, that's what I want to ask about, because one of the supremacists who was saying things like this about your family, Nick Fuentes, an avowed anti-Semite, went after your wife. He had previously dined at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump. Does this have any room in your movement, in the MAGA movement?
Of course it doesn't have any room in the MAGA movement, and of course...
You disavow him and this.
And of course Donald Trump has criticized this person. Look, I think the guy's a total loser. Certainly I disavow him, but if you ask me what I care more about, is it a person attacking me personally, or is it government policy that discriminates?
Total loser, but causing all this problems for the Republican Party and all over the news? The number one story?
Is it a person attacking me personally, or is it government policy that discriminates based on race? That's what I really worry about.
He's usually pretty good about not disavowing things, too, by the way. Washington Post, Nick Fuentes, a person who once called Adolf Hitler, quote-unquote, awesome, has more than 1 million followers on Elon Musk's X. Now he finds himself a central figure in an online battle over the future of the American conservative movement. Just endless headlines about Nick Fuentes triggering a MAGA civil war, anti-Semitism rising, mainstreaming of hate. Here's the cover of the week, Tucker Carlson with Fuentes. Read what Henrik said up here a second ago. Henrik from Red Eye says, a multiracial Christ is King movement with mild Israel anti-Semitic critique is not a threat, not a bug, a feature. Israel is preparing to separate from America anyway, damage done. And he has an article here from The Hill, opinion, Israel strategic posture changing. So this is what the narrative, all the headlines everywhere. Oh, anti-Semitism exploding. Oh, the satanic anti-Semitic tropes and stereotypes. Anti-Semitism in the fight for the GOP's future. Will America survive if America will fall if anti-Semitism rises? Saying he's a Nazi and a KKK. Pretty wild cover there.